There is no trash talk at Top Gun, but there is an inter-community rivalry. Naval aviation is unique in its division of communities: fighters, attack, props, helos. Back in 1979, fighter communities broke down to West Coast, East Coast, then Tomcats and Phantoms. As taught in Top Gun, you take the who out of the discussion. That means leave your ego at the door. And such was the strict protocol at Miramar until the skits of Top Gun graduation happy hour. The East Coast Phantom community of VF-171 Detachment Key West was represented by me and my Rio, Hop Sing, so named for a haircut he once got that had a distinctive Asian flair. Hop Sing and I wrote a skit that skewered everybody, except us, naturally, and was received with wide acclaim and hoots of laughter. A couple of one-liners. On the West Coast, how do you get an F-14? Answer: you buy an acre of land and wait. Nickname for the variable geometry wing Tomcat? Switchblade Edsel. Tomcats were so large, aluminum overcast. In a 1v many dogfight, the Tomcat was Fight Central. Nickname for Lonnie McClung, Top Gun CO. High, thin, and scattered. A weather term describing his hairline. To be sure, Hop Sing and I took as many hits, if not more, than we delivered, all in good-natured rivalry. Outside of Top Gun skits, we had some rivalry greats, like, why is an A6 intruder so loud? Answer: because it stays in one place for so long. Slow. Slough is an A7 Corsair, slow little ugly effer, or a pregnant Crusader, an F8. While we Phantom drivers were beholden to the A6s for their tanker missions, giving us much needed fuel off the cat shot at night, we were not beyond giving them a daytime thump. On a Sigonella detachment, I caught sight of two A6s heading back to base and cranked up my speed to just under supersonic to overtake them and underneath, and pulled up right after merge to give them a huge shockwave thump as I flashed up just ahead of their nose. Yee-haw! My first CAG, a former Vigi driver, RA5C Vigilante, did nearly the opposite to me on an intercept drill. I would say he busted the 500-foot bubble when he blasted by me head-on at merge. During the same Sigonella detachment mentioned, we had just received our new CAG, Casey Jones, just coming off his tour as the Blue Angels boss. Our air wing, I believe, was the first air wing to go 1 year accident-free. In fact, we went 2 years accident-free. So we were feeling our Cheerios, as they say. CAG Jones tolerated a little leeway at SIG. We were all coming into the break at 100 feet AGL and pitching up to the normal beam position at 800 to 1,000 feet. The late, great Chick Burlingame pulled off an Immelman on takeoff with a full external centerline tank. He later admitted that he scared himself at the top, looking at 0 on the airspeed indicator, but he had plenty of altitude to reestablish flying speed. He had visions of having to deploy his drag chute if he entered pre-spin yaw oscillations. Imagine explaining that to CAG Jones. I was launched on a maintenance check flight while at Sigonella. All I had to do was a short profile that checked whether the generators would drop off the line. They did not drop off, so with nearly a full bag of fuel to burn, I explored the southern shores of Sicily at about 50 feet. There were a lot of vineyards, and I came upon a lone fisherman who got something of a shock, I imagine, as I blasted by. All I needed to complete the mood was a soundtrack of a jazz drummer playing swing beat. Then I went up to the Straits of Messina between Sicily and the toe of Italy's boot. I was flying at a level equal to hotel balconies, mindful that there is a cable crossing the straits, which I avoided. Then we circled west and south to look straight down the mouth of Mount Etna, up until that time mostly quiet. Not so in 1983 when it erupted for several months. Then we called Catania Airfield Tower for permission to fly a simulated touch and go. Permission granted, we came in, gear down, leveled off at about 50 feet, then raised the gear, plugged in full afterburner to scream down the length of the runway for a dramatic pitch-up departure. I had noticed an Alitalia airliner on the mat area boarding a line of passengers. They sure got an eye full. After my pitch out, Tower called and asked me to do it again. I declined, not wanting to press my luck. Finally, an A7 LSO came blasting into the break at Sigonella at 100 feet and broke level, using his heads-up display. I say finally because Cag Jones called us all in that evening and said, "It's time to play by the rules again." Unfortunately, our accident-free record ended soon when Saratoga set out for flight ops in one-night recovery period. A Nugget A7 flew a dangerously low pass such that his tailhook bit the weld bead of the ramp and gave him a heavy tug and immediate release and no arrestment. Off the angle, he ejected. I may be wrong, but I believe the Corsair resumed flying for a bit after he ejected. The Nugget soon returned stateside commercial air after the accident investigation. Such is carrier aviation. He is fortunate for not having gone home in a box.